I told you, this thing is bigger than Nino Brown, and I got a list of proof.
Order.
If I'm going down,
Order
I'm taking a whole lot of people with me.
Order in the court.
Nino Brown Boxing, and I'm back in the building. Shout out to the LDBC. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. All right, guys, at this point in time, everyone has heard the news. Vasiliy Lomachenko has been made the franchise champion for the WBC, and the actual champion now is Devin "The Dream" Haney. Now, my thoughts on that is pretty simple. At this point in time, the WBC has only considered 2 fighters the franchise champion, and in both of these situations, they've had young, primed, black opponents that are showing great promise, that are naturally bigger than them, bigger stature, longer reach, and these younger black guys, they wanted all the smoke. And it seems like the WBC, they've learned a lesson. Like strictly, and when I say learned a lesson, this lesson strictly benefits the WBC. That first Canelo Alvarez situation, when they were pushing Canelo to face Triple G, and they took the belt from Canelo, and Canelo got all upset and pissed off and threw a temper tantrum. Well, the WBC, I'm sure, they came together with their board, and they decided, okay, when it comes to these top guys that we make a lot of money off of, or brings a lot of attention to us, at some point, it seemed like some of these guys want to duck. There's certain opponents they don't want to fight, and they'll be willing to relinquish our belt, vacate our belt for that sole purpose. So, I'm sure Suleiman and his board decided, someone came up with a bright idea. Well, why can't the WBC capitalize off of these guys being a coward? And I'm sure someone said, well, what do you mean? Well, why the WBA, they came out and they created their super title. But let's have our own version of a WBC super championship, but they have the freedom to do whatever, and then they'll have the status as the regular WBC champion. So they came out with the franchise championship belt. And it seems like that's what's happening. Now, my understanding is, the only part that I'm not sure about is, does the WBC approach these guys with that as an option? Or was that how it initially went down with Canelo? Or do you have fighters like Lomachenko in this situation? Did he approach the WBC and say, hey, I want to become the franchise champion. I don't want to have to fight my mandatory. I want to be able to do whatever I want to do. Because Lomachenko, yes, he's unified. He's unified at 135. He just beat Luke Campbell. Now, the thing that doesn't make sense is he's never defended his belt. You have guys like Deontay Wilder and Gary Russell that have defended their WBC title consistently year after year after year. And I haven't heard any talks about Wilder or Russell being elevated to the franchise champion. But ultimately, I don't even think those two are interested in being a franchise champion. So, my understanding of the franchise belt, based off of the events that have taken place, is the franchise belt is nothing more than a trophy. We recognize you for your achievements, and we're stripping the responsibilities of what a champion is from you and allowing you to hold this physical representation of, honestly, man, I don't even know. It just doesn't make sense. It's just a trophy. It's just like you participated, you got a WBC belt, you don't want to be the champion anymore, you don't want that responsibility. Well, let's recognize you from being a WBC champion. It's just, the only thing about it is it's not consistent. If it was a set standard, a set criteria to become a franchise champion, then it will make sense. To me, the franchise champion is no different from a champion, like a champion emeritus or a champion that's like currently inactive and he can't fight. To me, it's the same shit, because if that was the case, the WBC, the first person that should have been elevated to the franchise champion, it should have been Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman was injured. He was already unified. If anybody was going to get a WBC franchise champion, why didn't Keith Thurman get it? Because he fit the bill to me. Keith Thurman was more deserving of being a franchise champion than Lomachenko. But it is what it is. At this point, all I can say is congratulations to Devin Haney. He is, I don't know if he's the youngest. I haven't looked into that. But he's the WBC champion. And this completely negates all of this undisputed talk by Lomachenko. And I just noticed, like, I'm noticing a trend with this shit as well, because Canelo was talking undisputed. He became the franchise champion. Undisputed isn't a reality anymore. Lomachenko was talking undisputed. Now Devin Haney is the champion, and Lomachenko can't be undisputed. So I really just wonder how all of this stuff is going to play out. Now with Eddie Hearn being Devin Haney's promoter, this is when shit gets interesting. This is the time where Eddie Hearn needs to put some shit together and pull some magic out of his hat. And what capacity, like how, basically when it comes to the whole Richard Comey fight or Teofimo Lopez fight, Eddie Hearn needs to find a way to make a play for Devin Haney. But we'll see how things play out, guys. It's Nino Brown Boxing. Shout out to the WBC, and I'm out.